How can we prevent unpleasant experience for the Chinese tourists? Also a very important question. How can we make it nice and easy and enjoyable for them? Well, this is not a good example. And the two Chinese ladies might be able to explain why. This seems really cool. If you're welcomed, you come into a hotel, and there's welcome in all kinds of different languages. Yeah? What does this say? No. This is... Wait,
Like the pronunciation.
It's phonetical.
Yeah.
So somebody has seemingly asked, how do you say welcome in Chinese? And they've just created a phonetical version of the word welcome. But welcome in Chinese is huangyin. It's a totally different word. So this makes no sense. No sense. Nice try, but...
What does it mean?
It means nothing.
It means nothing. Is wei er ke mu, welcome. Because certain sounds do not exist in Chinese. This is the closest that you can get to the sound of welcome in Chinese. Makes no sense. So
And also it's a Chinese traditional.
Chinese, yeah.
So like maybe most of people don't.
Correct. Yeah. So mainland Chinese people might not even know these characters. Yeah. You can make it very easy. This is in Giethoorn. And in Giethoorn, there's a school. When you come from the parking lot, there's a school. And just by putting up a picture, Chinese people like to take pictures of everything. If you just tell them, don't take pictures here, this is a school. And if you use symbols like this is the way to go for the boats, the food, and the bikes, Wi-Fi, and happy disabled people. Giethoorn as well, they don't do an awful lot. Sometimes this is the instruction when you go and rent a boat. And there's a lot of translations for boat rentals. There's some places that actually have translated a menu. Same here. Translations, a whole menu translated. This is doing very well. And even the Christians that are trying to convert you, if you try to go into Giethoorn, have Chinese brochures. This is amazing. So, the question, what is the favorite drink of the Chinese people?
Warm hot water.
Hot water, yeah. I should have asked the two of you not to say anything, because normally most people say tea. And that's actually not true. There's many more people and there's much more hot water being consumed than tea in China. So that's why if you go on a train, there's always a hot water boiler. If you go in the waiting area in a train station, there's always 开水, boiled water, hot water. Or 冷水, cold water. And if my father-in-law comes to visit the Netherlands, he's got this enormous thermos with him of hot water that he carries around all day.
Just without nothing in it, just warm water.
Hot water. It's just hot water. Traditional Chinese medicine says that it's very unhealthy to drink cold liquids. So that's why even more than tea, they drink a lot of hot water. I had to get used to that as well when I was in China. A lot of people say Chinese people spend a lot when they're abroad. Well, they might be shopping a lot, but they sometimes actually don't spend that much on food. And in some cases, they take their own instant noodles with them. So take this into account as well. One of the hotels in Giethoorn has installed noodle cookers because some of their Chinese guests were preparing noodles in the hot water boilers. So to solve that problem, they said, well, we won't tell them it's not allowed because they will do it anyway. Why not give them a noodle cooker? There's 8 hotels being built in Amsterdam specifically for Chinese people. So we must be doing something wrong. Yeah. They prefer to be in a hotel that has been built especially for them. So what can we do to do things better? We can serve the Chinese tourists by providing information on their social media. And I really like this one. This is by the NTBC. And the Holland is so small, it's basically just like a metro system. It's not like a country. So they show the major train connections as metro lines. So these are WeChat accounts by, this is the Veluwe, I think. This is the State Museum, Rijksmuseum. What else can we do? Warm food. Chinese people don't like cold food. So give them something warm for breakfast. Very important. After 4 years, my own wife, she still doesn't eat cold breakfast in the morning. She doesn't eat beschuit and knekkenbreud, and she doesn't even like bread. So,
Did you see the Me How Holland documentary?
yeah.
They've been very creative with the hot breakfast where they serve erwtensoep,
Yeah.
breakfast in the
Yeah.
morning.
So they want to give Chinese people a Dutch experience. They do add a lot of sugar to the pea soup. Chinese superstitions. I think you already have heard a couple of things about certain colors, certain numbers. My wife was at one point, she wanted to buy a car, and the car number plate would pronounce I think it was 514, which sounds in Chinese as 我要死, I want to die. She said, I'm not, let's look for another car. So yeah, take that into account. So try not to put people in room number 4 or on the 4th floor of a hotel. Make it easy for them. Provide hot water everywhere, and the noodle cookers, I've mentioned that. And also, give them a mixture of Chinese and Western food. It's not true that all Chinese people don't like to try Western products, but give them the choice. Some might want to have Western food, and some might prefer Chinese food. So see if you can give them some of both, and then try to translate the menus and show pictures. For people that have lived in China, having a menu with pictures is a godsend. It's really, I wouldn't have survived, or I would have eaten very strange things in China if I wouldn't have had menus with pictures, especially in the beginning. So that helps if people can see what it is. If possible, provide Mandarin-speaking staff. Now, of course, this is not always possible, especially if you're like a smaller company. But maybe you can at least, in emergencies, be able to call a translator or an interpreter. So, for bigger companies, it should be possible to have at least one person in the staff that can speak Mandarin. And maybe even Cantonese. Evening entertainment. One of the things that Chinese tourists complain about when they come to Holland, it's so boring. There's nothing to do. If you go to China, and Chinese people visit their own highlights in their own country, there's always a cultural show. And there's also sometimes you get the feeling that the only thing that the minorities in China do is dancing, because that's the only thing that you see them doing. But there's a lot of cultural shows. There's KTVs, karaoke bars, karaoke rooms, and we've also mentioned gambling. So give them something to do at night. They are really bored. Chinese people are not used to sitting in a bar. They don't know what to do in a bar. So if you put some music on and you put a KTV screen in the bar, they are entertained, but give them something to do. Provide information, like I said, through Chinese social media, especially if you can maybe team up with organizations like MBTC, because this would be too difficult and too expensive to do on your own. But remember one of the most important things, there is no such thing as the average Chinese tourist. They're all different. Some are very young, some want experiences, some are traveling in groups, some are people that have just retired and have a lot of free time. They're really different from the millennials